was created by Jonathan Igla, directed by Rhys Thomas and Burton Birdie, and stars Jeremy Renner, Hailee Steinfeld, Alaqua Cox, Tony Dalton, Fra Fee, Linda Cardellini, and Vera Farmiga. It follows Clint Barton as he tries to help Kate Bishop escape the tracksuit mafia, all while trying to get home to his family in time for Christmas. When this series was first announced, I was excited. I've always been the type of guy who likes to cheer for the underdog, and I've always wanted Hawkeye to get his time in the spotlight. Full disclosure, I will be spoiling this entire season. You've been warned. That being said, let's move on to the plot. This season is made up of 6 episodes, and I wish that each individual episode stood out more. They all blend together and don't really seem to have their own unique episodic narrative. The action can kind of go either way. In Rhys Thomas's episodes, it's typical Marvel shaky cam quick cut. However, Burton Birdie really make an effort to try something new and be creative with it. For example, in episode 3, there's the mounted rotating camera inside of the car. Episode 1 was a little bit too Kate Bishop centric for my tastes. I like the character, and Hailee Steinfeld is great in the role, but I wanted to see more Clint Barton. I really like that there was an opening title sequence. Too many modern TV shows neglect the importance of a good intro. I really love the scene where the Rogers musical skips Hawkeye. It does a good job kind of showing his mindset without telling it. Retconning Clint to be deaf feels a little bit forced. I get that they wanted to draw parallels between him and Echo, but it still feels a little bit contrived. And I also know that that's the way he is in the comics, but it still feels a little bit contrived. Moving on to episode 2, why was there no opening title sequence? Why set up a series having an opening title sequence only to abandon it after the first episode? At this point in the series, Clint is mostly annoyed by Kate, so their interactions aren't very fun to watch. I found it a bit contrived that Laura was just okay with Clint turning into a psychopathic murderer during the blip. All that being said, the scene with Clint and the LARP was pretty hilarious. Episode 3 is where the mentor-mentee dynamic between Clint and Kate really begins to form. Jeremy Renner and Hailee Steinfeld have great chemistry, and their dynamic is different from other mentor-mentee relationships in the MCU. This episode features a fantastic action scene involving the trick arrows. It does a great job comparing and contrasting Clint and Kate's skill sets, as well as developing their ability to work together. I also love the scene where Kate helps Clint talk to his son. It's a great way of showing their bond growing. Episode 4 is a perfect example of an episode that does not have its own distinct narrative arc and as such isn't very memorable. The episode serves as a transition. It wraps up some arcs from the previous 3 episodes and sets up some things for the final 2. That being said, there is some stuff I like in it. I think that the montage of Clint and Kate decorating for Christmas was a good way of building their friendship. And I also like that Kate was able to just naturally deduce that Clint was Ronin. It didn't feel forced or contrived at all. Episode 5 caught us up with Yelena Belova. We saw that she had been working to free other Black Widows and was blipped. Yelena Belova's inclusion does feel a little bit forced. Florence Pugh is fantastic in the role, and I love the chemistry between her and Hailee Steinfeld, but I'm not sure she really needs to be here. I really enjoyed the fight scene between Ronin and Maya. It felt grittier and more grounded than most other Marvel action scenes. All that being said, I easily guessed that Eleanor was going to be the real villain and that Jack was going to be a red herring. I saw that coming a mile away. Episode 6 was a pretty solid conclusion to the series. It wrapped up the plot lines fairly well. Yelena's motivation for wanting to kill Clint felt a little bit bare bone. I get that in the Black Widow post-credit scene, Julia Louis-Dreyfus told her that he was responsible for Natasha's death, but Yelena just believes her? I'm also kind of wondering, does the fact that Kingpin's out of prison retcon the ending of Daredevil Season 3? Since at the end of that season he was pretty much stuck in prison. I'm also not sure that I like Maya being the one to kill Kingpin. I get that it's taken from a moment in the comics, and I also get that he might not actually be dead since we never actually saw him die, but it feels like a bit of a disservice to have a fan favorite character be killed off by a character that was just introduced. The post-credit scene was okay, it was goofy and fun, but I was in the mood for that. All that being said, let's get into the characters. The thing that this season does best is flesh out Clint Barton as a character. He's given more personality and individuality here than in any other MCU property. However, I'm not sure what his arc was supposed to be. Was it supposed to be about him letting go of the Ronin persona? Is it supposed to be about him learning his place as an Avenger? Is it about him accepting that he has to help Kate Bishop before returning to his family? I didn't quite understand. This series focuses quite a bit on Hailee Steinfeld's Kate Bishop. The character is a lot of fun, and Steinfeld is great in the role, but I wish she didn't overshadow Clint Barton so much. I don't know if season 2 is going to switch over to her being Hawkeye full-time, but I wish we got at least one season of Clint Barton being Hawkeye by himself before switching over to her. The antagonist of sorts, Maya Lopez, is okay. I think Cox does a great job in the role. She is very convincing at being kind of stone-cold and detached. However, her arc does feel a little bit rushed. I love Vera Farmiga's performance as Eleanor Bishop, but her character feels a little bit bland and her motivation is kind of underdeveloped. Tony Dalton as Jack grew on me throughout the series. At first I thought he was pretty annoying, but I kind of learned to appreciate his corny bravado. That being said, what accent is he doing? The other villain, Kazi, is a pretty standard mobster. He's given a little bit of depth with how he cannot comprehend escaping from organized crime. That's literally something he does not see as possible. But apart from that, he's a pretty straightforward mobster character. When this series revealed Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, I got goosebumps. Even though he was teased earlier in the season, I was still thrilled that they were bringing him back. I think the series did a pretty good job with Kingpin's characterization. They do, admittedly, tone him down just a bit to fit Disney Plus's family-friendly nature, but the series still allows D'Onofrio to be intimidating and aggressive. The thing this season does best is flesh out Clint Barton and build his relationship with Kate Bishop. Renner and Steinfeld have great chemistry, and their dynamic is unique in the franchise. However, the series does mishandle some characters, especially its antagonists. I'm gonna give it a mixed-leaning positive review. So that's it, that's my thoughts. What did you guys think of Hawkeye Season 1? Sorry this review is so late. I was having some technical difficulties involving my camera, hence the change in set. If you guys want to see more Marvel content, click right here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Bye.